Welcome to my How Healthy Are You weekly educational podcast. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist. Today I'm going to be talking about a summary of the various aspects of health, and I'm also going to talk at the end about energy drinks. A little bit of news and our housekeeping. Everyone in Pennsylvania and everyone getting a blood microscopy when I'm there in Pennsylvania should have received an email this morning with respect to where the blood microscopy is going to be located and the time and location of a seminar I'm doing there. So if you're on this call and did not get that, let me know. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is a question I get from people, and they get pretty confused with respect to the different aspects of health. So I'm going to summarize this and put it into perspective, and I think everyone will have a better idea and organization of their thoughts. So in general, when you hear about health and about humans, we think of separating the mind, the body, and the spirit. And you may have heard this over and over, and sometimes something's put in there with respect to emotion and energy, but common is mind, body, spirit. Well, if we look at the mind part of that, that is our emotions and our intellect. So that's where the emotion side is. I tend to categorize that in the mind area. And what separates humans mainly from, let's say, artificial life forms are emotions. So anyone that's watched Star Trek is probably is familiar with a character called Data, and even going way back to Spock, who was a Vulcan, was not human, and the joke was he didn't have emotions. Okay. We're going to get to the body because that's where I focus, and that's where I focus on, let's say, internal physical health. But if I go to spirit, so mind, body, spirit, if I go to spirit, we are spiritual beings, supposedly spiritual beings clothed in flesh. And talking about spirit has a lot of links to religion. I'm not going there. I'm going to be focusing on the body, and that's what I focus on when I do a blood microscopy. So there is a big aspect with the body. That's our physical health. That's my domain. And there's an external side and an internal side. I really deal with both, but I mainly deal with the internal, but I offer the external. So the external part of the body is just that, the external part of the body. And what do we need to do? Well, we need some level of fitness or physical fitness. So there are a few components to physical fitness, or at least the way I break it down, there are 5. So one of them is muscular strength, and that's the ability to lift objects and to utilize our muscles. Another is power, and that's the ability to move something quickly. So that's where power comes in. Strength and power are normally vital for athletes. The third component of fitness is agility. This is our ability to change directions. Again, as we age, our ability to move and change directions is typically going to diminish, and that's why we need to practice agility moves. Now, normally as we age, we start working on flexibility and balance. So those are 2 aspects, but they tend to be combined if someone does something like yoga. And the 5th, which is extremely important, is our cardiovascular fitness. So I'm including that in external, but there is a link to internal because it's the health of your heart, cardiovascular, blood circulatory system. So this is generally external fitness: strength, power, agility, flexibility, balance, and cardiovascular. I provide consulting in those areas, but what I'm mainly known for is the internal side of the body, the physical health. So when we think of body, physical, and I'm really involved in the internal. So I've broken down the internal portion into 3 sections. The first is a classification that combines what we're very familiar with, and that is our immune system, our nutrition, and our overall digestion. So this can pretty much be lumped all under nutrition. So if we eat well and we eat a variety of foods, especially a variety of colors of different produce, we drink enough water, our nutritional needs are being met. But we also need to digest, metabolize, and eliminate those meals. And if we do all that, our immune system, meaning our white blood cells and our probiotic bacteria, they should also be functioning and active. So our immune system protects us from disease and illness. So this is one very large area. We'll put it in the nutrition area, and there's a lot to it. I see a lot of this when I look at people's blood under the microscope, so I can see how well they're digesting food. I can see if they're consuming enough nutrients, metabolizing those nutrients. I can actually see the white blood cell size and movement, which equals strength and activity. And I can also see the need for probiotic bacteria, especially if there's too many parasites, yeast, or fungus in the blood. So I tend to spend a lot of time in this nutrition area. But there are 2 other areas that are of vital importance, and people don't realize how important they are. So one of these last 2 is sleep. Sleep is vital. It can't be sacrificed, and we should protect it. Sleep is something we absolutely need. Only you know the number of hours you need in order to function well the following day, but it is a big component of the health of your body. If you have trouble getting to sleep, falling asleep, it's your mind. So let's go back to the beginning when I talked about mind, body, spirit. It's the mind. It's your emotions and your intellect, your thinking of things if you can't sleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night or soon after you fall asleep, that is a hormonal imbalance. So the hormones we can even put in the category of our overall nutrition, because if everything is working fine, your digestion, your immune system, your hormonal system will also balance. If it doesn't, you'll probably need to take bioidentical hormones. So sleep of vital importance, it's the second category. The third, which very few people realize it's even a category, is breathing. We do not, in general, focus on our breathing. We don't realize how important it is, and it is of vital importance to our physical health, the health of our body. Breathing will help your sleep. It will decrease your snoring and even your need for sleep apnea devices, because it can actually eliminate sleep apnea. And it will increase the value of your sleep, the ability for you to have sound and deep sleep, refreshing sleep. So it is linked to breathing, but breathing is linked to all of your health, whether it's mind, body, or spirit. Breathing is extremely important. When I say breathing, I don't mean just breathing to maintain life. I mean you're thinking about your breath, where you're inhaling, where you're exhaling, whether you're holding your breath, whether you're inhaling quickly or slowly, or exhaling quickly or slowly. So there are a lot of variables. But one simple thing we can all do is to start focusing on breathing in and out through our nose. That will allow us to make something called nitric oxide more efficiently, and the nitric oxide allows us to have our blood vessels expand and contract, which lowers blood pressure and increases blood flow. If you increase blood flow, you increase oxygen. So just simple breathing in and out through your nose will do this, and that will also improve sleep apnea problems. So there are also various breathing techniques for either relaxation or even alertness. So breathing techniques are not just about relaxation. There are breathing techniques so that you're more alert. One of these is called box breathing. I mention it in one of my videos that's on YouTube. I believe it's in the first video, the phase 1 through 3 breathing techniques. And I believe in that phase 4 was a relaxation breathing technique. But there are more, and when I do a seminar, people can ask me about the 5th breathing technique, which is of extreme importance, and it's very healing. And what I like about breathing is it's free. There's no charge. So that's what I have for the first part on health, linking mind, body, spirit, and focusing more on the body. That's typically what I do. All right, the next part is a little bit of information about energy drinks. Energy drinks are extremely popular. They actually started way back in 1949, but nowadays the two stars are Red Bull and Rockstar. The third one that's also a big name is Monster, but I believe there's over 100 of them now. And initially they were very popular with the military, and a lot of studies have been done recently to see if there's any benefit to drinking these energy drinks, or if you're better off just drinking a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or something like that. The problem first arose when people were thinking their blood pressure was going up or elevating. A lot of tests were done within 30 minutes of consuming these energy drinks, but it was found out that the blood pressure increase isn't observed till an hour later or longer. And so blood pressure elevation is actually a problem with these energy drinks. But what's worse than that is when energy drinks were studied, they found that there was less blood flow to the brain. Well, initially, students were also using these energy drinks before tests, thinking that it would increase the blood flow to their brain and they would perform better on the test, but it's actually worse. So there's less blood flow to the brain after consuming an energy drink than consuming just caffeine from tea or coffee or just any caffeine product. Another problem with the energy drinks is arrhythmias, which is heart rhythm abnormalities. And these are caused from the other ingredients. Normally, they're proprietary ingredients in these energy drinks. They tend to hurt us as opposed to just a little bit of simple caffeine from coffee or tea. When they studied the effect of the energy drinks directly on athletes, other than the blood pressure increases, they also found that it led to inflammation, but it did not improve their oxygen uptake. And that was, again, a reason athletes thought they could benefit from energy drinks, is they would improve their oxygen utilization. And if there's more oxygen coming in, it'll get to the red blood cells, they get better blood flow, and they get better athletic performance. But that wasn't the case. It did not improve the utilization of oxygen. So the bottom line on the energy drinks, they're really not worth it. They're not worth the cost. You would be better off just getting a little bit of caffeine from some coffee or tea or some dark chocolate. That would be better than the energy drinks and far less expensive. So that's what I have for today's podcast. I want to remind everyone there will not be a podcast next week. I will be in Pennsylvania, and I will not be able to do this podcast. So the next podcast will be in 2 weeks. And as always, thank you for listening, and please don't keep me a secret.